Hey everybody, welcome to Girls Gone Hallmark. I'm Megan, and I'm a lifelong Hallmark movie fan.
And I'm Wendy, and I think Hallmark Movies and Mysteries is more my speed.
That is not surprising to me at all. No. If you had asked me, I would have agreed with that question.
Good.
Today we are discussing family history mysteries buried past from the Hallmark Movies and Mysteries channel. And if you want to connect with us outside of the podcast, we would love for you to follow us on Instagram. We are both at Girls Gone Hallmark, which is obviously our Hallmark specific account, and at Megan and Wendy.
That's right. You can also jump into our Girls Gone Hallmark Facebook group. I love it there. Nice, engaged people who know their stuff about Hallmark. Come join us.
Yeah, they came in hot with some information that we'll be sharing today.
That's right.
This episode. Speaking of news and notes, let's talk about Hallmark, specifically some ratings of this weekend's movies.
All right.
As of yesterday, our recording of The Wedding Veil, these ratings were not out, but they are out. So we have ratings for both The Wedding Veil Expectations as well as Family History Mysteries. And I'm going to tell you, one of these movies did better than the other.
A lot better than the other.
And before we talk numbers, I just want to say I'm honestly shocked by the disparity between these two numbers.
Me too, totally.
So first up, let's talk The Wedding Veil Expectations. That we did review that movie yesterday. If you haven't listened to that episode, give it a listen. It's there waiting for you. It came in at number 15 in cable news programming with a whopping 2.484 million live and same day viewers.
A lot of people were excited to see this one, it sounds like.
Yeah, it did not do as well as last year's The Wedding Veil debut, which debuted at 3.39 viewers.
Mm-hmm.
It in fact did not do as well as any of the Wedding Veil original series debuts.
Oh, wow.
According to Showbuzz Daily. So all three beat out, but still a solid showing. It still puts it in the top 10. If you were to rank it against 2022, it would still make the 2022 top 10. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I'm going to tell you what you're trying to say.
Okay, please.
Lacey Chabert is still the queen of Hallmark.
Really, truly.
That's what it comes down to. People like to watch her movies. Done. Period.
Now, today's movie, Family History Mysteries Buried Past, did not do quite as well. It came in at number 68, but with a solid 1,006,000 viewers. I'm curious. I don't know how Movies and Mysteries stack up against standard Hallmark Channel movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
And then Sunday movies stacking up against Saturday movies. And then we're also we're leading into football playoff season. And I think that's stealing a big share of cable TV watchers at this point.
Mm-hmm.
All in all, I was surprised by that discrepancy, but still think it was a solid showing.
I mean, the numbers don't lie.
Right.
1 million people watched it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it live, but I still watched it. Should we move on to our synopsis?
We should.
All right. Family History Mysteries Buried Secrets. Genealogist Sophie McLaren is an expert at bringing families together when her close friends Jonathan urges... That doesn't make any... What?
There's a misplaced S.
Yes. When her close friend urgently needs to find a bone marrow donor, the case becomes personal. I have a question.
Yeah.
Just based on this synopsis, how do we know that Sophie McLaren is an expert at bringing families together? We never established that. They didn't say that, right? At the beginning of this movie?
Yes, they did. And they did that because they show her wrapping up a previous genealogy case that she had done, and she brings those women together.
That's right. That always throws me off because that seems like an end of the movie at the beginning of the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had forgotten that little 30-second opener. That's right. But the love letters don't have anything to do with family. Well, I guess it does, but all right, never mind my opinion about this use of family.
Okay. Let's do some news and notes about family history mysteries.
Okay.
That's gonna throw me every time.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, one of my wished fors is I hate this title of this movie because it is straight. It reminds me of a Scooby-Doo episode.
Oh.
Every time I hear family history mysteries, I want to hear like, I hear like Scooby-Doo in the background. I don't know. They could have just called it like family history, buried secrets, or family mysteries, buried. Just, it's too illiterate. I don't like it. I just have to say it.
Well, I'm going to assume that the writer, Amber Benson, did not name this movie. She has 74 acting credits in addition to 10 writing credits, which include the morning show Mysteries. So she is no stranger to writing mystery series on the Hallmark Movies. What the fuck is this channel? Hallmark Movies and Mysteries channel.
Is that all you have to say about Amber Benson? You don't know who Amber Benson is?
But let me tell you why. Hold on. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
These notes were taken before the IMDb page went up.
Ah,
so
okay.
I was not clicking through to her IMDb. You know what I'm saying? I did research
Yes.
elsewhere. So tell me what else I should know about Amber Benson.
Well, first, let's clarify for the listening audience. We do pull a lot of information from IMDb, and for this particular movie, it was not updated until today, the day of recording, which is Tuesday. So we were like trying to search the internet in the dark web looking for information on this dang movie.
And even as of today, the IMDb is very sparse.
It's a skeleton crew over there. There's no, they list 4 people in this movie.
Intern and put them to work. These people need credit for their work.
Seriously. Okay, so Amber Benson, young adults of the 90s like myself know her as Tara from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She was...
That didn't even occur to me.
Did you watch that series?
Nah, I've seen like an episode or two, but I was not.
Oh, girl. Like you said, she also wrote morning show mysteries that featured Holly Robinson Peete and a ton of other like thriller crime, true crime movies, including Anne Rule's A Murder to Remember. And I can't remember it off the top of my head right now. She wrote the teleplay for the true crime story of the Olympian who he was a para-Olympian and he murdered his girlfriend. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, no.
I'm going to leave a link to it in our show notes. I know somebody's screaming at the radio right now. Or,
at the radio.
On their morning walk. I don't know.
Oscar Pistorius.
Yes, that's him. That's him.
It's a little true crime because Anne Rule, if I'm remembering correctly, is a true crime writer.
Yeah, like the queen of true crime. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we just went on a wild ride down a rabbit hole of an Anne Rule book that I remember reading as probably a child, let's be honest. It was originally published in 1992. It's called If You Really Loved Me, and it is the true tale of a young girl who was convinced to kill her mother by her father. So if you like true crime, we do believe this one took place very near where we both grew up.
That's wild. I'd never heard of that story.
Add it to your 2023 reading list.
I don't know about that.
Too disturbing for even you?
Close. Well, yes. Kind of a wimp these days.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. This movie was directed by Jonathan Wright, who also recently directed The Royal Nanny, Jolly Good Christmas, and a whole bunch of other Hallmark movies.
Yeah, he's also directed the crossword mystery, so he is not new to Hallmark movies and mysteries either.
Oh my gosh. There's too many repeating words here. I can't handle it.
We've talked about Janel Parrish quite a bit on this podcast, but let's just let it be known. She, I think, most famously starred in Pretty Little Liars, but she was also in a series that I loved, To All the Boys I've Loved Before. There's another book recommendation for you if you're looking for one. And of course, she was in Coyote Creek Christmas and Right in Front of Me, written by a friend of the show, Julie Sherman Wolfe.
That one time we had Julie Sherman Wolfe on our podcast. She will always be a friend of the show.
That's what happens.
Janel also participated in season 19 of Dancing with the Stars.
Did she?
She came in third place with her partner, Val. Yes.
You love Dancing with the Stars.
I mean, I don't think I watched that season, but I do remember her dancing, like her first dance, and she did like a, you know, when you say shh and you put your finger up to your mouth.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember that because that was very like reminiscent of Pretty Little Liars. I think she either did it there or it was in the opening sequence or whatever. Anyway, that's all I remember.
It's burned
about
into
that.
your memory?
Yes, it is core memory for me for some reason. Can't remember what classes my daughter takes, but I remember that.
So, look, Niall, we have an apology made her to give because Wendy looked up his Wikipedia. I have been calling him Niall Matter for the 2.5 years we've been doing this podcast.
Yeah, and I don't even know, is it Niall or Niall?
Oh, Lord. I apologize because I honestly, it's one of my pet peeves when people say like, oh, it's too hard to say. Like, I can't.
Oh.
It's somebody's name. I feel like we should take the bare minimum and learn how to say people's names, which doesn't mean I'm perfect at it. But if I have been unintentionally, is it Niall?
I think it is, but I don't know for sure. And you know me,
I'm doubly mad at myself.
I butcher names left and right on this podcast, so I think
But
it
we're
is
making
Niall
an
Mater. Yes.
Okay. Well, 2 apologies from me to you.
I would like it if you know for certain how to pronounce this man's name, please email us, meganandwendy@gmail.com, or jump into our Facebook group and
Send us a voice memo.
a voice memo, please. That would be amazing.
He has 50 acting credits, including A Christmas Together with You, Rip in Time, and When I Think of Christmas.
That was from 2022. It was a movie I did not watch. Did you watch it by chance?
No, that didn't make the list for me this year.
Yeah, I don't think it was well received from what I read.
That's my understanding of that movie as well. Spoiler alert, this movie has changed my opinion of
I'm gonna have to
later.
agree with you there. Let me finish here. He was in Never Kiss a Man in a Christmas Sweater from 2020. It was one of the first movies that we watched and reviewed. I hated it.
Yeah.
I especially did not enjoy him or his character, I will say, not anything personal against the actor. So in every movie I've seen since then, I'm always like, he's in it, you know? However, I would like to say that has also changed for me.
Yes, 1,000%. I rescind my previous thoughts.
Me too. Hey, listen, I have a story about him. I did a little digging last night. He was in a horrific accident at 25 years old. And I guess he was working part-time on oil rigs at the time, like trying to be an actor, but also working on oil rigs, you know, to pay the bills, whatever.
Yeah.
He was crushed inside of the cab of a drilling rig. And apparently it weighed 17 tons and he was terribly hurt. And I guess doctors were able to save his leg. They were going to amputate it. They were able to save it. And it took him months to learn how to walk again.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy, right? And then he said, the article I read said he went back to work on the oil rigs.
No.
Yes, he went back to work. And either the day he returned or the next day somebody got hurt. And he said, I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. Yeah.
Crazy.
Wow.
I know.
There's a workman's comp claim if there ever was one.
I'm certain.
Well, speaking of backstories of these actors, I really wanted to know who played Clark in this movie. And we're going to talk a little bit more about him later, but it's not on the IMDb page. I did some digging. I tried to look at the credits. I did not have any luck, so I went to the Facebook group. And the Facebook group delivered with an actor named Bruce Horak, who plays Clark, plays the boy's father in this movie. But here's what I love. And if you've ever listened to an episode, you know that we like when Hallmark hires actors with perhaps a physical limitation that they are portraying to portray that role. And Bruce Horak lost over 90% of his eyesight to a childhood cancer. Now, I'm not celebrating that he lost his eyesight, but I'm celebrating that an actor who has lost their eyesight is playing a character who has lost their eyesight.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So, more about Bruce coming shortly.
Morgan David Jones, he plays the brother. What is his name?
Jonathan.
Jonathan. Oh my gosh. He plays Jonathan. He has 46 acting credits, several holiday movies from 2022, not on Hallmark Channel. His resume also includes a feature film called Molly's Game from 2017, and that is a really good movie if you haven't seen it.
I have not seen it. Is this
No, it's not scary at all. It's about gambling. It's so good. It's not for it's not family friendly movie night watching, but it's it's based on a book too. It's really good. Definitely watch it.
I've written it down.
All right. Hey, did you see who the executive producer of this movie was?
Well, I know that Nikki DeLoach was one of the executive producers of this movie.
That's who I was going to say. She was one.
Yeah. They have kind of a deep executive producing list on this movie.
They do.
Produce away, Nikki DeLoach.
Get it, girl.
Get it, girl.
All right, let's talk first impressions.
My first impression is that really how DNA works? I found myself very confused. I'll explain. Tell me your first impression. Okay, my first impression is Niall Mater. That's it. That's my first impression. Yeah. I hear you.
You know what? I gotta say, listen to this. Somebody had messaged us over the holiday break and was like, you guys need to make a t-shirt that includes Mr. Mater. And I was like, okay. And then, because, I was like, okay. But now I'm reconsidering. We need to make
1,000%. Welcome to the Wowie Zowie Club. My number one is Niall Mater with a beard. Number one, top.
God, I'm speechless.
Yeah,
I thought he looked so nice and great teeth. And I watch a lot of these movies on my phone, so everything's very small. But I watched this particular movie in our extra bedroom, and we had this huge, way too huge of a TV for that space.
It's so big, yeah.
Totally. My daughter gets dizzy when she's watching TV in there, so she doesn't. Anyway, I was watching it on that TV and I was like, wow, look at that smile. It was just right there in my face.
Why don't you swap? Isn't that bigger than your downstairs TV?
Yeah, the quality isn't as nice though.
I see. Yeah. Okay, so I want to briefly explain my DNA comment simply because it doesn't have a better spot in our lineup.
Okay.
Now, one of the ways they use DNA in this movie is they're trying to find their father and trying to potentially find, I assume, other family members who can lead them to their father. My husband has done 23andMe where you swab your cheek, send it in, and they send you back all this information about yourself and your family members. Mm-hmm. But in this case, they had the DNA processed by their friendly lab technician, and then they just sent it out to all of these DNA
databases.
Yes, thank you. Uh-huh. And I thought, can you just do that? Can you be like, here's the DNA information, feed it into your system? Now, keep in mind, the way this works is completely beyond me, but I did find myself fixating on that particular part of the movie, and thus that was my first impression.
Well, I wonder if it's they're let's just skim over this DNA part because people don't really want to understand how it works.
Right.
You get too in the weeds if they're trying to explain it, and so yeah, maybe they're just okay, now we're past it.
I like that.
Well, that's funny you mentioned the databases because I was like, are there databases? I'm kind of an internet stalker or have been at one point. And I'm like, are there databases out there that you can just type this information in and look for people beyond Google?
Which information specifically are you?
I don't know. She was typing in brown hair, hazel eyes, Boston. I was like, I don't know. I know she's not a detective, but she's a genealogist, some forensic genealogist. So does she have access to are there some super secret databases out there with information about everybody?
Or is she just using Ancestry.com?
Right? So, I don't know.
Inquiring minds want to know. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I liked a lot about this movie. Up top, I thought it had a compelling but an easy-to-follow plot.
I agree. I really enjoyed the story. And what I liked about it in particular even though I am a true crime fan, this wasn't about a murder. This was about a missing person. And we were looking for this person. I was like, this is fantastic. Is this how the next movies are going to be too? Like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, speaking of true crime, I thought the intro to the movie, it was brief, but it had a little bit more of a TV show series style intro.
Megan.
And I was like, this is a series that I would absolutely binge watch.
Me too. It gave me real Veronica Mars vibes.
Yeah. Yes,
Did you watch
totally.
Did you watch Veronica Mars?
I've seen the first season.
Oh my God. I'm like referencing all these movies. It's like you reference books to me and I reference TV shows to you that we've both never read or seen. Anyway, yeah, I agree. I thought it was well done that way. Like it gave me like a TV. Yeah. Very much, very much. I want to say I thought there was great casting of the brothers, of Morgan David Jones and Niall Mater. I thought they could definitely look like real siblings. So
Totally agree.
applaud them for matching those two up.
I like Winston and Esme together. Although, Winston, you're a super hot dude. What are you so nervous about? Ask
Right?
the woman for coffee. Like, she's clearly into you. Just like, put those shoulders back and ask her out, man.
Hey, did you notice how many donuts were in this movie?
It's so funny because I was sitting here making my notes and I thought, I want to say something about the donuts, but I don't have anything to say other than lots of donuts.
There were lots of donuts. And Sunday night, I watched this after dinner and I was like, damn, I could really go for one of those donuts right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, and at one point the name of the place was on the box, but I couldn't see, even on my big ass TV, I couldn't see what it was. I did want to look it up to see like, where is this real donut place from?
Yeah.
I thought Janelle and Niall had really great chemistry. I thought they were friendly and flirty. They truly cared about each other. It was a good pairing.
1,000% believed them as high school friends who like transitioned into adult friendship.
And what the absence of I like you, I hate you, now we love each other was so freaking refreshing.
And here's what I love about this movie is that their story is just getting started.
Right?
The movie ends on them like, it's not a will they or won't they, because we know that looks like they're going to see where this goes.
Well, and then I was like, oh, he's leaving his, big city job and coming back. But for very valid reasons, because his brother's going to be going through treatment and getting better from
reconnecting with his father.
Yeah, so there's a lot there to dig into.
Yes.
Yeah. Finally, for me, there was this one conversation between the brothers, Jackson and Jonathan, and it was about Jackson crashing and burning with Sophie. And it was just sweet and light. And I thought it was very funny and very real. And I was like, how nice to have like a sibling relationship like that where you can like talk about your love life. It was very nice.
You ready for wishes?
I am. First one I already mentioned, I hated the title of this movie, but that's, whatever. For me, the movie did get a little bit confusing in the middle.
Okay.
Meaning, hear me out. There are a lot of character names, and we didn't know who was who. They were talking about people, and we never saw their faces. So we don't, you know what I mean? Like, they were talking about Joe Schmo here and Jane Doe here. And I'm like, who are those people? So it's hard to keep track of all these people when they're not an actual character on the screen.
Yes, there wasn't a face to put to those names. I agree with you. That is the one place where my brain went, oh, I really wanted to see them. I wish there was a way they could have. Obviously, they couldn't because they didn't, whatever. But yes, I agree with you. I think this movie accomplished what it set out to do in that it made me want more from this crew. I want Family History Mysteries, the series. I will totally be the person who tunes in for them, who's excited for new installments. Obviously, we're going to get Sophie and her mom in our next movie. Give me more.
Agree. I want to talk about something, and I don't want to be blamed for being an ageist here.
Okay.
So, and maybe this has to do about casting, I don't know. But when Sophie and Jackson find Clark's former best friend, he's the guy working on the airplane. The man who they hired to play this role looks to be in similar age to Niall Mater, right?
Yeah, Jackson and Jonathan.
Yes. And I'm like, it really like threw my brain for a loop because I'm like, aren't they looking for a dad who may be in similar age to their mom, but this is the best friend who clearly looks a lot younger? So it really messed with my brain a little bit. So I don't know. I just don't want to be blamed for being ageist here. I just think they should have hired somebody who maybe was closer in age, who would be a actual realistic best friend of this older man who's supposed to be their dad.
Well, and I think there's more to be said there because
I don't want to say it.
Well, no, but I think, look, it's a numbers game. Bruce Horak plays the boy's father. He plays Clark. That actor is 48 years old.
Yeah.
Okay? Sherry Miller plays Jackson and Jonathan's mother. That actress is 67 years old. There is a 19-year age gap between the actors.
Which is not possible. Like, people, I mean, right?
Not impossible, you mean?
That's what I think I said,
Yeah,
yes.
It's not impossible, but how old are these boys? They've got to be, what, 25? 30? It's not...
Wait, in the movie?
Yes.
No way, because that guy's a doctor. He's got to at least be in his, like, mid-30s.
Okay, let's say at a minimum they're 30 years old. If Clark is playing his actual age, that would make him 18 years old when the boys were born. Now, as far as I recall, there was no issue. I know he wasn't ready to be a father. He was nervous about being a father, but from my understanding, the only backstory that was brought up that might have contributed to that was the fact that he didn't have a great example in his own parents. Not that he's so young and is not ready to do this. So I don't think it's ageist to point out the fact that these actors are 19 years apart. However, here's the next question. We're just applauding them for using a visually impaired actor to play a visually impaired role. Does there need to be some sort of give and take there? They're like, well, we could either hire a visually impaired actor or we could hire one who's more believable in terms of his age.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting thought. Okay.
And I guess if I had to pick, I would pick the visually impaired actor in terms of those things. But it is noticeable.
Yeah.
And by the way, Sherry Miller's a beautiful woman. I don't think we're being ageist.
Okay.
They are legitimately 19 years apart.
Don't send us your emails, guys.
I don't think we've done anything wrong here.
I'm treading lightly these days. Can you tell?
Email Wendy at meganandwendy@gmail.com.
Okay, here's something else I wish for.
Okay.
How terrible is the stepdad? I guess the man who raised these boys. I mean, you know that the bio dad is alive and you don't say anything. And fine, like I understand you don't want the return of Clark to upset your like new marriage and new family, but then the boy that you've raised his entire life, it needs a bone marrow transplant and you don't say a word about the dad being alive still?
Yes. So in this movie, I found there to be a lot of threads that made me think, do I believe that could have happened? And I'll talk about Clark's thread in a minute. But George, do I believe that Clark could have shown up and George could have sent him away because he was insecure? Yes. Do I believe that George, who loves these children like his own biological sons, they are his sons, has a child who needs a bone marrow transplant or he is going to not live any longer, still keeps quiet, still doesn't go to Sophie at that point, like still makes her figure it out? I don't know, George. I don't know. It's not a good look, dude.
Yeah, George. And at one point they show him like coming back to the house to talk to the mom. And I was like, did she kick him out? Because like he came to the front door. I was like, that's weird. But then they like, you know, all is well and forgotten at the end.
He's like, I'm sorry, Dorothy. Yeah, you better.
Was that her name? Dorothy?
I think so. You better be more than sorry, dude.
Yeah.
Any more wishes?
One final small one. I did not need the C story of the love letter mystery. I didn't think it was necessary in this movie because you got like your A story, your A plot, right? And then to me, the B plot is like Sophie wondering about who her birth parents are.
Yes.
You know, and she was like struggling with that a little bit with like her dad and all that, whatever. So I just like, we didn't need this like side storyline of like the love letters. I don't think, personally.
There was something when they were returning the love letters that makes Sophie.
Yes.
like-
she figures out like the School of Blind.
tie it all
Yeah.
together.
Okay. Fine. I guess they needed that like through line there. All right. That's fair.
Yeah. Are you ready for Did You See That?
Yes, I am.
Uh-oh.
It's not uh-oh.
Okay.
They're mostly from the complaint corner, but let me
Okay.
just start with the first one. And I talked to you about it yesterday. It's the poster for this movie. I don't understand. Like, they have like the DNA. It looks like it looks like Terminator. You know, remember the Terminator poster where like the half side of his face was like Terminator and the other side was a man? Am I making this up?
I know what you're talking about.
It reminds me of that a little bit. And I was like, why does one side of her face look totally different than the other? But then when we looked at it closer yesterday, you're like, isn't that a DNA strand in her eye? So
I think follow up to that.
Oh, do tell.
So you showed me this picture, and it is a still photo, and it's just kind of that purple tinged photo close up of Janel Parrish's beautiful face. Later that day, I was following the hashtag on Twitter, looking at what people were saying, and I saw that same image, but in a short video. And in the short video, it's maybe 3 seconds, text slides in across her face, and it says, it's in her DNA. Like it's in her DNA to be this person, I guess.
And
So I think the double helix we see in her eye ties into that. Now, why her eyes are two different color, I don't know, because I don't think Janel Parrish's eyes are actually two different color, and couldn't they have made the helix the same color as her other eye? I don't understand that. But I do believe we've closed the loop on it being the DNA double helix in her eyeball.
Okay.
I have one mild, did you see that? And that is at some point in the movie, they're talking about some of their leads and they flash on a serial killer style wall with red threads attached to things. And I was like, what are those red threads attaching in this case? Like, how are these people, what's going on here? Did we just like, ooh, this will really look like we've got a real investigation going on?
Yes. That's why it gives me like PI vibes.
Yeah. But it's not unlike that.
I mean, I kind of wish like we saw a big version of that because I'm telling you, I was like, who are these people they are talking about and how are they connected? So,
well, and that was what I was thinking when I stumbled over my words earlier and I was saying, I wish we could have seen a visual when they were discussing those people. What I was imagining is like a B-roll running behind the audio of them talking about these people that shows, you know, the research and how this person may have been connected, but they didn't know who these people were. They didn't have photos of them as far as we knew. But I don't know. Like, show them pinning a photo on that wall as you're talking about this person to your dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've seen enough CSI and NCIS and whatever else to see that like that is possible. So give us that. Yeah. Hey, Sophie's character had the worst shoes in this movie.
I did not notice at all.
At one point, she had these like terrible clunky boots on. I was like, that looks awful. Not style wise, but it looks awful to be like traipsing around the town in these big clunky boots. And then had these other like, I don't know, saddle shoe looking shoes on. It's just not great.
Yikes, woman on woman crime.
I'm sorry to whomever dressed her. It's not a
What if
personal
that's
attack.
her own wardrobe? What if she's like, I like my shoes? It was clearly cold when they were filming this. In Ottawa,
Yes.
it's cold in Ottawa. She's like, let me have my boots, people.
They were, okay. I will send you a picture of these boots. They were just like, they look like the heel was like this big cork. I don't know.
This is just a question.
I'm listening.
Did you find yourself wondering if this was a realistic storyline? Like, and I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. I came around to believing it, but I find myself thinking like, okay, he faked his death, right? Like, why would somebody do that?
Mm-hmm. Why
Because
would they?
And he was very clearly did not feel confident in his ability to be a father. He didn't feel like he had the tools, and he felt like they were better off. But that's a big choice.
Yeah, why didn't he just bounce? Be like, peace, I'm not ready for this. See you later. Instead of like tormenting your family to think like that you're dead is kind of a jerk move.
Well, I'm telling you, I put a lot of thought into this. And so is the thought, well, will it hurt them more if I actively leave? Or he already thinks he's not good enough for them. So is he going to think about that they're going to be that hurt if he's gone? He clearly felt like they were better off without him.
Wait a minute. Do we have clarification on the fact that he actually faked his death, or was he actually trying to commit suicide?
I don't think he was trying to commit suicide. I think he was injured. I forget the story about he wandered and was found and was injured but ultimately remembers who he is and makes the choice to not come back.
Right. This brings up another question. He still goes by his given name, right? Is there not a utility bill in this guy's name? I mean,
Yeah. What are the logistics of actually faking your death?
I have to go back to the Julia Roberts movie where she swims away in the middle of the night and gets away from her abusive husband, and he still finds her with
the enemy. That's one of the scariest movies I've ever seen.
It's a great movie.
It is a great movie, but when she stacks up the towels and she turns around and they're all straightened out, it's terrifying. And the music in her house, whew, yes.
But remember, she faked her death. Did she fake her death in that movie? She did, didn't she? Yeah. Remember, she didn't know how to swim, and she taught herself how to swim, and so then he thought she drowned out in the ocean.
Yeah.
Anyhow, she changes her name. Anybody who runs away, Gone Girl, changes her name. You're not just gonna I'm gonna move to Boston, which is not far from where they are in this movie, right? It takes place. Where do they live?
A job.
Yes. There's some physical record of him. I'm like, what? Why can they not find him? Yeah. Especially if he was in the hospital for any extended period of time post-accident. Somebody is going to know where this man is.
Right, because we have a tragedy in my parents' friend history, and the friend went missing. And I remember, I was 9 years old at the time, and I remember my mom going to this woman's house, and they were looking for her husband, and they would call and they would say, do you have, and they would ask, they call the hospital and they'd ask for his name, and they'd say, can you spell it? And they would spell it, and they would say no, and they would say, do you have any John Doe? The story was they would say, oh, can you spell that? She was just so frustrated by the whole process.
Can you spell John Doe? They would ask. Oh gosh.
And so, but you would call do you have anybody who's unidentified? Is there,
yes.
Is my husband there? No. So me vividly remember that you would call the hospital and ask to have a John Doe. So
are we just to believe the mom was like, well, he left and he's dead, so nobody's looking for him?
Yeah, that's the story I want. I need at some point in the family history mysteries a scene of the crime, a what happened in the week after
family history mysteries. Yes, exactly. Take me back to whenever this was supposed to be.
You ready to rate it?
I am. I'll tell you.
4 stars.
So did I. I thought it was a solid movie. I would definitely watch another one. Definitely.
Me too. I feel like Weekend 2 really leaps and bounds ahead of weekend one on Hallmark.
Yes, agree. I gotta tell you, I'm not super looking forward to the next installment of The Wedding Veil. It looks kind of like a bummer.
Well, there's that scene. He goes, "I need to talk to you," and she makes that frowny face.
I know. I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah, because with Peter and Avery, they're so in love, and all of their conflicts are so minor. It's like, oh, we're renovating this big, beautiful castle, and we're gonna have a baby, and I think maybe we're gonna have some bigger conflict here.
I hope so. I hope it's. Well, give me some meat. I said
give me
that.
Some meat.
Give me some
need
meat.
Something to hold on to. Well, speaking of next week, it's a big week for Girls Gone Hallmark. We will be back with our second or fifth, however you're counting, The Wedding Veil Inspiration recap on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, recaps of The Way Home launch.
I'm so excited.
If you happen to work at Hallmark and you happen to be listening, and you know how we can get screeners of these, I'm not afraid to ask. Let us know.
Yes.
I would gladly send somebody some Canadian donuts for a screener. Before you go, take a minute to leave Girls Gone Hallmark a 5-star rating and a review. Join our Girls Gone Hallmark Facebook group and follow Girls Gone Hallmark on Instagram. Happy watching. Bye.
Bye.